Hello everyone, welcome to section 2 of this course. In this section, we're going to be talking about how we can create a system to organize the files that we already have. So just so you know, for this section, the narrative is going to be pretty simple. Basically, you're working for the mafia. Everything is going very well until the mafia boss reports that the CRA, so that's Canada Revenue Agency, so just you can think of that or any tax revenue agency, will audit the business. The boss realizes that there are so many unorganized files that can raise suspicion. Your job is to sort the files by format and extension. So pretty much you have a lot of files, they're unorganized, and your job is to organize them. And the best way to do that is with Python, because you can do it all in one go. And you can use that for the future instead of just doing it one by one and wasting a lot of time. So this is sort of the diagram that we're going to follow in order to make this happen. So right here, we have the goal. This is the goal, to organize the files. And in order to accomplish that goal, we have two paths. So we have the complete mess, sorting the complete mess, and sorting the semi-organized files. So let's go. First, we're going to start with the complete mess. The complete mess is comprised of many different files of different formats. It is just so unorganized that there's no real clear way to follow. So what we're going to do is we're going to organize the files by the type of file that they're at. So if the file is a PDF, we'll create a PDF folder and store all the PDFs in that one folder, and then we can do something further to those files. And then the other path is the semi-organized path. In this case, what we're going to do is organize the files by a format. So let's say that you have a bunch of files in a folder. They're already kind of organized. It's just that you don't necessarily like the format. So I'm going to show you how you can change the format of all the files to the one that you specifically want. In this video specifically, we're gonna get into how you can navigate through your computer's terminal and how you can use the OS module. So the objectives for this video, so like I mentioned, we're gonna use the OS built-in module to do work for us, and you will learn how to use directories and file paths in order to sort your files. So this is very important and we're gonna go through it. And you will use the OS module to rename a file and some files, so you get a little taste of what we're gonna do in the next couple videos. Okay, so let's get into the code. So as you can see, I have the code already prepared here, and before we get into any of the code, I just want to show you how you can navigate through your computer's terminal and how you're gonna need to do it throughout this section so we can complete this project. So let's go. I have my terminal open here on the side, so just so you can see what we're doing. So right now, as you can see, I'm in my downloads folder and I'm looking at a random file that I downloaded off the internet. And as you can see, I have a huge mess of files that I have to sort, and I'm gonna do it all through Python, so you'll know that you'll be able to apply this to any type of files that you have. So for example, right now I'm looking at this. I have other folders here because I tested the code with other sort of file formats, but I want to be focusing specifically on PDFs because that's something that I have a lot of them. We'll also do some PowerPoints and some JPEG, so images like this. Okay, so great. So what are the things that you have to know about navigating through your terminal? So first, for those of you who don't know, there are some very basic commands that you do on your terminal and they're useful. One of them is ls, and just shows you everything, all the files and folders that are within the directory that you're working with. So in this case, by default, I'm in this directory, and here you see some of the most important folders in my computer, right? So now what if I want to go, in this case we want to go to the downloads folder. So how do we do that? Well, there's another command called cd, change directory. Then you type of the name of the directory that you want to go to. And now I'm in my downloads, as you can see here. Now here I could do ls again, and here it's gonna show me all the different files that I have in my downloads folder. Okay, excellent. So once you know that, what's another useful thing? Well, you can make a directory, which is basically a folder, and the way you do that is just make directory and then the name of the directory, and I just made a hello folder that you can see right here on my downloads folder. So let's go back. Okay, as you saw here, the terminal is just a way of navigating through your computer without having the graphic interface that we're all used to, whether you're in Windows or Mac. So it's a great way to do different things, but one of the most important things that we'll be doing with the terminal throughout this section is to get the file paths of folders and different files. So how do we do that? So let's say that we wanted to get the file path of this picture here. So all you have to do, and this is something that I found very practical, is just you can get your terminal and then just drag it right here. And I'm gonna show you this, and as you can see here, it's gonna show me the complete path of the file, and I can just copy and paste it into the actual code in Python. Now, why would I do this? Because if I did, for example, there's another method, you could do get info, and then here it gives you the path, but it doesn't give you the complete path. So it gives me downloads, but I still need the other part, which is downloads and this part here, od tinyhouse 3.jpg. That's something that getinfo does not personally give me. So I would recommend that you use this method, but whatever works and whatever you're more comfortable with, go for it. Okay, so once you understand that, let's get straight into the code. So the first thing that we need to do is import the OS module, and don't worry, this is a module that comes built into Python, so you don't have to install it or do anything. Now before we even start, I want to comment this out so that it doesn't have any effect on the code. And the first thing that we'll do is use the get current working directory method for the OS module. And what this is going to do is just show us what directory we're currently working with. So as you can see, this is the current directory that I'm working with. Okay, so once we have an idea of what the current working directory is, we might want to change it. In this case, we want to change it to the downloads folder. So how do we do that? Well, we could do it by using the change directory method. So as you can see it, I have it here, and then I just have to select the path that I want to change the directory to. So in this case, we want to change it to my downloads folder, which is right here. So if I wanted to get the path, I could just take the downloads and drag it there. Okay, so once we change the path, what else do we need to do? Well, I'll comment this. What else do we need to do? Well, we want to make sure that we're in the right directory. So one way that we can check that is just by printing all the files in the directory. So I'm going to use this method called list directory, and it's the same as ls in the terminal. And then we just have to specify which directory, which in this case, we change the directory to downloads, and we store that information in this variable right here. So I just have to enter that, and I'm gonna run the code, and as you can see here, it just shows me all the different files that I have. It gives me a list of all the different files that I have in my downloads folder. Okay, so just like I mentioned in the PowerPoint presentation, we're gonna rename a file just so you get an idea of how everything's gonna work in this section of the course. So what I have done here is I have a screenshot, and if you remember from the previous section of the course, we sent an email. So I just took a screenshot of what that email looks like. Now I changed the name, but for example, let's rename it to something weird, because sometimes when you have files and you download them, it's gonna name them in a way that you don't necessarily like. So let's change it to this, and I'm gonna copy the name, and what I'm gonna do is we're gonna use the rename method of the OS module, and all we have to do is first enter the current name of the file that we want to change the name to, and then the name that we want to change the file to. So in this case we want to change it to screenshot.png, and this is assuming that you're working in the directory where that file is located. So in this case, the downloads folder. Now I'm going to comment this out, and I'm going to run the code. And as you saw here, there's no error. So if we go back, we can see that the file did change name. So in this case now, the name of the file is screenshot.png. So this is exactly what we wanted. Okay, so once we did that, what are some other useful methods of the OS module where you can actually check the existence of a path? So for example, I could do print os.path exists, and it's gonna check if there's such a thing as hello in my downloads folder. Then here, if there's a file, it's gonna check if there's a file called Python, and here it's gonna change if there's a directory called Python, and it's just gonna tell me true or false. So if I run the code, we see false, false, false. Now for example, if I had the hello file that I made and I checked if it's a directory, then it would tell me yes. So let's check something, png. Okay, so I'm gonna do png, and if I run the code again, you can see that png is actually a folder in the downloads file, in the downloads folder. So as you can see, it just tells me that there is indeed a png folder. So this is very useful in some cases. Okay, so we're finished